And I think what Prasoon did beautifully in that, and it also shot extremely well. Very, very well shot, that it evoked the emotions of a company that had been around for a long time, and we'd been around for 100 years. So I think, sometimes the creative idiom needs to transcend logical boundaries. And it was done subsequently also in some of the other campaigns that were developed. I Miss You Too, the campaign on Maggi, when the brand was off the shelf. Right. And there were hundreds and thousands of people getting in touch with the company saying, where the hell can I find Maggi? Right? I was accosted on aeroplanes saying that, I'm from Bits Pilani, there is a get-together, and whether we like it or we don't like it, Paneer Maggi is a central dish. Can you please give me 10 cases? I said, look, everything has been withdrawn from the market. It's all gone. So when you had this kind of response coming in from consumers, you could have had either of two options. One is to keep your mouth shut and say, yeah, but my brand is not on the shelf, and so what difference does it make? And in fact, the ideas came from the agency and from the team. The team and agency, Nestlé team and the agency worked very closely together. And then we said, we'll take out a campaign that says, we miss you too. And we were missing. I mean, the fact is that it is such an iconic brand, and it's the only brand in the history of FMCG in this country that went from market leadership to death and came back to market leadership within 3 months of its relaunch. I don't think any brand has faced that kind of fire and that kind of return.
Absolutely true. And Prasoon, during that time, right, tumultuous time, of course, for Maggi, like Suresh mentioned. Tell me how this sort of rootedness in the work that you do helped you craft a campaign like that.
See, I think if you look at, we all sitting here, if a lion enters this premise right now, वो discriminate नहीं करेगा lion that this is Suresh and this is Prasoon. I like poetry, I'll eat him later, I'll attack him first. So what happens is that we are narratives for each other.
Yeah.
And in absence of narrative, you are just bodies. The same applies in the brand world. You're just products, and the narrative is added, you become a brand. वो कहते हैं कि भाई धन गया कुछ नहीं गया, health गई कुछ गया, सम्मान गया सब कुछ गया. Now when you say the respect is lost, when the narrative is attacked, when a factory shuts down, there's a different kind of problem. When your narrative is at attack, that has to be fought very intricately. And that's what creative comes into. I am a storyteller. You tell me to tell a story of a brand, I'll tell a story of a brand. There is, for me, believe me, there is no condescension when I'm writing a poem or a song. When I'm writing, मैं कभी बतलाता नहीं पर अंधेरे से डरता हूँ मैं माँ. I approach it with same respect as I would approach, say, 100 years of a brand. Now, for me, they are narratives and I'm a storyteller. So I'm telling a story. The only distinction is when you're writing for a brand, you have a defined canvas and you're bothered about desired consumer response. When I'm writing poetry, I'm not or less bothered about the desired consumer response. My self-expression takes over there. So that could be a distinction. But I am nonetheless a storyteller. In this case, when you are writing for a brand here, I'm intricately trying to revive, जैसे कहता ना कि मोहब्बत की याद दिलाया अपने लोगों को. मैगी में याद दिलाया भी आप कितनी मोहब्बत हमसे करते
memories and nostalgia.
Remembering that. You're remembering your good old days. You're remembering the journey of the brand. And rest the consumer does. See, you cannot fib. You have to be transparent. When you're building a brand, if you're building a brand sandcastles, they're not sandcastles. You're not fibbing. You have to transparently share what actually you mean for them, what you've tried to do. And that intricate, sort of a fabric of a relationship is what a creative person is trying to revive or strike or weave in, I would say. And that's what probably I would do.
Absolutely. While, of course, this example that we spoke about, Maggie, was critical, Suresh, has there been any other point of time in your career where your pursuits in the arts, poetry, whatever else it may be that you consume as Suresh the person, has that ever sort of helped you in a key business decision in your corporate avatar?
Look, I think before I came on to the Maggie crisis, I spent 5 years in Egypt as part of the Arab Spring crisis. So that was a very
one crisis to another.
That was a very different crisis altogether with the whole country, and I had the opportunity of being the head of Egypt, Libya, and Sudan. So it was like really a volcano at that point in time. And I think my being a little light-hearted with a tolerable sense of humor helped me a lot with the people. Egyptians by nature are a very warm, very friendly people. And they are very similar, their value systems are very similar to Indians. And I recall that we used to start every crisis minute meeting with a joke. And somebody once told me, came from the head office, he said, how can you start this is a crisis meeting, you're saying something is burning somewhere and some factory is shut down and something else is happening. How do you start with a joke? I said, because that's what relieves us. It releases the right kind of hormones in your system to be able to discuss more weighty topics as things come along. So I remember, at that point in time when the city was shut, there was no internet, the tanks were out. In the morning, they used to give exactly 2 hours of time for distribution. Nestlé salesman used to be there at 6 in the morning to distribute. We didn't give that guy 1 extra pound, not 1 extra incentive, and they still went and did it. To me, the magic of purpose and the magic of an organization that is genuinely respectful of people is so very important. And that was really, and there were numerous incidents during that period which happened.